there's like me hearing Yellow for the first time and being like, this is, you know what? This is a really great song. The world ought to hear this. Any honest artist knows that they're ripping off their heroes, and their heroes would probably resent what they're doing. So anyways, that's my Coldplay Radiohead tangent.
This episode is being supported by Tape It, the iPhone recording app made for musicians by musicians.
So I think I even have an initial demo of this one before. Basically, the story of this song was, it started off as a collab that showed like some potential, and we all shelved it for ages. Like, we thought we had taken it to as far as we could potentially take it. Basically, the rest of the group was ready to give up on it. And I was like, I feel like there's something here. Like, I have that same energy of being like, I have to see this through. There's something to this that can be turned into a real song. But the initial demo, it's like a completely different song. There's the final verse is not there. The final hook is not there. The final pre-chorus is not there. The final chorus is not there. It's just a skeleton of some production that we did together. And so it's weird that I was like gunning for this song to survive when basically none of the elements did survive. It's like that question, if you rebuild a ship and replace all of its parts one by one, is it still the same ship at the end of the day? But this has a few things in common. There's the drums, and some of those guitars ended up living. And kind of because of that, this has become one of those songs where there's a ton of tiny little layers that are basically inaudible, and it's just filled with all these little vestiges and stuff like that. So this was the very initial demo. It's called Skyscrapers and Wheat Fields. That sounds in there very lightly. There's that guitar. And then Jimmy sings here, James Ivey.
Skyscrapers and wheat fields, so this is how love feels, so this is the last dance. Don't mess up your footing, there's no in the hallway. Tell me that you're.
And when you were collaborating on this, were you all together, or were you working, throwing it across to each other? You're all in the same room.
Oh wait, sorry, I pulled up the wrong version here, where that does have the hook from the final song. So this must have been the 5.0. But we were all together. We all went to a studio in Sebastopol, California, and it was kind of an intermediate period after my last record where I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And we all just sat together and we made a bunch of different ideas, and this was basically the only thing that survived. But yeah, it was in person, and that's tough for me. You know, I'm sure you get this sense from talking to me, but I'm a little bit of a reclusive person. I tend to be, my way of working is to shut the door, you know, and to be by myself for 12 hours so that I can record the same line 150 times and try out 150 different hooks. And it's like, it's not sexy at all. And it's really hard for me to get into that mode when I feel like I'm being observed. I can't perform in the studio. You know, it wouldn't be an exciting thing, I don't think, to watch me work. Because if I knew people were watching, I would change the way that I'm working in order to, I would come up with some kind of surefire things that aren't that exciting to me, when the way to really find stuff that's exciting for me is to go as far off the trodden path and make a whole bunch of garbage. You know, like you have to be willing. It's so different from a performance. So I think that might have been why I struggled in those sessions to come up with anything great, because I didn't want to sing in front of my friends, come up with something like, I didn't want to flop, you know, and I'm perfectly happy flopping in front of myself. So that's why I was like, I know everyone's given up on the song. I know you guys don't believe in this anymore. Let me just spend 150 more hours on it, and because I think there's something to this.
This episode is being supported by our good friends at Tape It, the iPhone app made specifically for musicians. If you, like many of our guests, use voice memos, then as far as we're concerned, switching to Tape It is an obvious choice. It's free, and there are a load of features you won't find on Apple's Voice Memos app, including the ability to record straight from your lock screen, set markers, add notes, include photos of settings, And you can easily import your old voice notes, sync to the cloud, and create shared playlists with co-writers and bandmates. So head to the link below to install the app now. And if you want even more, check out Tape It Pro and use the promo code TAPENOTES to receive a whopping 20% off. And now, back to the episode.
I kind of call this one the like Coldplay one because like the Killers, all the most famous musical acts of all time with guitars were a novelty to me. And this is also gonna sound like such a lie because every like EDM artist has like fake Coldplay vocals in their music. Like there were so many progressive house, dance music, ultra music festival anthems that had like vocals that were trying to sound like Chris Martin. I was just never a big Coldplay guy, and I have grown to love Coldplay so dearly in the last 3 years. I'm so happy I did not live in the period of time where everybody was kind of shitting on Coldplay, because I know it would have hurt me, because I think that they're great and have always been great. From like when they're, because I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent here, but I had also never really listened to Radiohead either. And so I got to consume the first few Radiohead albums and the first few Coldplay albums within like a week of each other. And I was like, wow, like Coldplay were definitely listening to Radiohead and trying to make their version of it. And it just came out so much sweeter and so much more saccharine. It's like a little less depth, but maybe a little more sugar, which works for me. And so anyways, I just like, it was just like crazy for me at age 30 to like listen to Radiohead and Coldplay and the Killers for the first time. It was such a delight. I can't believe how much I'd been missing out on it. But I was like, I wanted to write a song that sounded a bit like Yellow. And I think this was the kind of like my attempt at that. So this was a wake up. It's wait, is this might even be a different verse. Hold on. This is a different verse. This was me. This is a different one. There is a Coldplayism in this chorus because I added some guitars that are very Coldplay. But this was me trying to use Jimmy's verse melody from our very 1.0 demo and rewrite the lyrics into Porter World. So it was like this. Wake up, it's the first day, there's snow in the hallway. I was 10 years old, I heard your voice from the staircase. You buckle my coat up, but cover my nose up. So that's how it starts, Wake up, it's the last day, whole room in your suitcase. Said I'll miss my dog, maybe I'll visit on Friday. The air's getting colder, her breath on my shoulder. So that's how it starts, Want it to be wrong, it's over and done. Is there really no happiness without this feeling? Give me the drug. Is there really no happiness without you near me? So you can kind of hear the attempt at like the yellow guitar here. If I mute the vocals, there's like me hearing yellow for the first time and being like, this is, you know what? This is a really great song. Some people, the world ought to hear this. So yeah, this was, this was a song that I made like 100 attempts at, and yeah, this was a demo that I'd forgotten until yesterday with an alternate verse.
Fantastic, really interesting, and I can really hear the connections. And I think in a way you've been in a lucky situation, because to discover great artists afresh, with a completely open mind, not affected by anything like context or other kinds of knowledge, is a nice spot to be in sometimes, I think.
Oh, it was such a treasure. It was such a joy to like to listen to Coldplay and then to kind of discover afterwards. I was like, yeah, so they had a period of like being like the most hated band ever. But I remember looking, once I started hearing like Don't Leave Me, what is it? Don't Leave Me High, Don't Leave Me Dry, or whatever, the Radiohead song. Sorry, that must sound so flippant. High and Dry, yeah. I heard that song and I was like, this sounds a bit like this could have been an early Coldplay song. And obviously, without even looking, I knew that High and Dry had come first. just based on vibes alone. And I was like, has the connection between Radiohead and Coldplay been discussed? And once I started looking into it, I found tons of forum debates from 2004 from people saying, Radiohead fans being like, Coldplay's trash, and found like a radio interview, I think, where Tom York was like, the interviewer was being kind of rude about Chris Martin. And I remember Tom York specifically saying, "You're not going to get me to say anything bad about Chris Martin," which I found really admirable, because when somebody takes an attempt at your thing or what feels like your thing, and they make all the decisions that you yourself wouldn't have made because you felt they were too cheesy or they went too far or showed no restraint or whatever, it doesn't feel good as an artist. And I think lots of artists tend to resent the people that get inspired by them, because you're like, oh, you've just done my exact thing, but you failed to stop yourself from doing all the stuff I deemed too cheesy. I've felt that way before with some stuff. And it's like, I found it really admirable for Tom York to not take the bait and to be like, you know what, like I'm not going to say anything rude about this guy, because every artist knows that they themselves are doing it too. Any honest artist knows that they're ripping off their heroes, and their heroes would probably resent what they're doing. So anyways, that's my Coldplay Radiohead tangent.